September 16th, 1621. Dear Imp, the men prepare to go on the expedition to the north where the Massachusetts Indians live, and Father prepares to go with them. Tonight Father came to me. I think I knew what he was going to say before he said it. He asked how I would like to have Hannah Potts be my stepmother and his wife. I simply did not know what to answer, my feelings being so stirred up. Finally I blurted out and said, "But she be so quiet, Father." It seemed so lame, but it was all I could think of. And he said that maybe we could help her out of her quietness, and I knew that there was some unspoken part to what he had said. I think it be that we could help my father, but we spoke no more on it. I know that this is difficult for a man or a woman to be alone in the new world. A man can be a widower in Leiden, and a woman can be a widow and be fine, but not really here, not with winter coming and all. Maybe I shall get used to her quietness, or maybe she'll become more noisy, but the fact of the matter is, she doesn't say tisk tisk anymore. Love, Mem. September 20th, 1621. Dear Imp, Mistress Potts has been by every day since Father has been gone on the expedition. She is good with blessing. There's nothing else much to write. I should have a lot to say when Father and Squanto return. Love, Mem. September 21st, 1621. Dear Imp, I could just spit at Mistress Billington. Do you know that what she said, and within an earshot of Hannah Potts? She said that the only reason my father be drawn to Mistress Potts is for the feather mattress she owns. It is the only real mattress in the settlement, and it is filled with down, as Mistress Potts's father was a fowler in Leiden and did keep many geese. Well, it was the meanest thing I had ever heard, and poor Hannah, her eyes filled with tears, and I thought she was going to break out and cry right there on spot. So I said to Mistress Billington, "Mind your tongue. My father is pleased by Mistress Potts, because she has comely ways, and she is dear with blessing, and she makes a nice pudding, and she is quiet and elegant in her manners, unlike yourself." And then I just took hold of Hannah's hand and gave her a yank, and we stomped off. Will the Blightwaters ever cease to amaze and confound me, Imp? Love, Mem. September 23rd, 1621. Dear Imp, Father returned last night, and to tell you the truth, I have never seen Hannah Potts so animated. She brought her stool over to the house so we could listen by fire to his stories. Father said the fields and surrounding lands up there were indeed superior to those here, and that many regretted that they had not pushed on. Once there they encountered many Indians, and the women or squaws wore cloaks of the most beautiful beaver fur that they had yet seen. The women were more willing to sell their coats for a few handfuls of bright beads and ribbons or two. So now Father says the fur trade has began in earnest, and he is quite hopeful to get ours and be able to fulfill our obligations with the merchants. They actually expect the new ship to be sailing in here fairly soon. I will not think of Hummy by some miracle be on it, for it would be only to be a miracle. But here is another wonderful thing that Father told us. My heart beats faster just thinking of it. He described to us that at the mouth of the harbor that there were many islands and ledges, and the men took to naming them. A small cluster at the entrance to the harbor was named the Brewsters, in honor of our ruling elder. A point of land was also named Allerton, and guess what? Another that rose from the sea so green and lovely and round was named Grace, after dear Ma'am. It was Father's idea. They had wanted to name it Whipple, but Father said no. He wanted it to be called Grace. Just Grace. I know now that he still loves her so deeply, but even more important, I know now that to the north there is a green and lovely place rising from the bleak and rolling waters named for Ma'am. This was a very nice evening. Well, all, Blessing, me, Father, and Hannah, sat close to the fire. Hannah and I were on our stools while Blessing whined for a turn to sit with Father, and he kept saying, "No, Blessing, the stools are for the ladies. Love, Mem." October 5th, 1621. Dear Imp, Father and Hannah Potts were married yesterday. Governor Bradford read the service in the large room of the fort. That is where we now have all of our meetings, whether they be for making peace treaties with the Indians or worshiping our Lord. It was a very simple wedding. No high merriment or garlands of flowers. Love Brewster helped me braid some wheat sheaves, into which we wove into some lavender. Wheat is for good luck and fertility. I would not mind another baby about, and it would cheer Mistress Potts something considerable after having lost hers. And we did make a circle of birch leaves and rosemary for the bride's head. Love had brought some tansy for it, but I could not bring myself to weave yellow into this wreath. It reminded me too much of Ma'am and how she did love yellow. I had no idea what I'm going to call Hannah Potts. Do I call her Mistress Potts? Stepmother Potts? I cannot call her Ma'am. If putting tansy in a wreath for her head was too difficult, can you imagine, Imp, what calling her Ma'am would do to me? I'll think on this a while. I don't think Mistress Potts will be much help. She is still as quiet as a stone, and it is all she could do to answer Governor Bradford with "I will" during the ceremony. Love, Mem. October 10th, 1621. Dear Imp, we have worked so hard during the harvest season, but praise be to the Lord, for indeed with God's blessing we now shall have for each family a peck of a meal each week, as well as the same in each corn for each family. My hands and fingers are sheathed in calluses from shucking all the corn. We had sown some 20 acres with Indian corn, and all of it did excellently. We sowed 6 acres with peas and barley. The peas were a miserable failure. Peas should be sown earlier here, for the summers are much hotter here. These came up and blossomed, but they were terribly parched by the sun. Tomorrow will be the first morning, except of course for Sabbaths, in over 3 months when I do not have to rise before the moon is down and the stars swallowed to go to work in the fields. What will my fingers do with no corn to shuck? But the harvest is in. Love, Mem. October 11, 1621. Dear Imp, I do indeed think that Governor William Bradford is one of the cleverest men ever. He has declared that we shall have a special time of rejoicing for the gathering of the fruits of our labors, and it is not to last simply 1 day or 2, but 3 whole days. Squanto is sent to invite Massasoit and his people. We shall have feasting and entertainments. 4 men have already been sent out to get fowl, others to hunt deer, and my father with John Alden and Masters Winslow and Billington are sent to the shallop to catch bass and cod and perhaps some eel. Governor Bradford dispatches men with all the skill of Miles Standish drilling and ordering his militia about. I think in truth that this is a genius of William Bradford. He can plan celebrations with as much cunning as he can make laws or treaties or compacts. This takes a special kind of mind, I do believe. Love, Mem. October 13th. Dear Imp, Mistress Potts, I still don't know what to call her, and I have I believe, worked so hard for this feast as we did in the fields. All the women have been cooking from dawn to dusk. Meat stews, fish soups. Squanto has shown me a new dish they made called scutatosh, with a mixture of beans and corn. I promised to make pudding. Father and the men in the shallop did well. They brought in baskets brimming with fish, but Father said Master Billington did little to help. He complained of a sore shoulder and could not haul the nets, so he spent most of his time drinking beer and basking in the October sunshine. Mistress Billington did not shirk, however, and she was quite helpful to me with the scutatosh. She apparently has either forgotten or forgiven how sharply I spoke to her. I think it is probably forgotten, not that she is incapable of forgiving, it is just that I don't think anything lasts that long in her mind. Love, Mem. October 14, 1621. Dear Imp, 'tis the first day of the festivities. Massasoit has brought with him 90 Indians. We are busily cooking more. It is so exciting. The whole village bustles, and everywhere are Indians. The men have their faces painted deep red, and they smoke their long pipes, and sometimes the women smoke the pipes too. The air is laced with the scents of roasting meats and herbs. There are to be games, and someone, I think it's to be Stephen Hopkins, has unearthed a pipe and drum, and we ladies have to give a jigging match. I might not be writing much as there is so much to do and so much fun to be had. I'll try to write for a minute or 2, Imp. Fear not, I shall not forget you. Love, Mem. October 15th. Dear Imp, I thought I had eaten to the top yesterday, but here I be back for more at the table today. It has been a marvelous time. Mistress Billington jigged until she nearly swooned, but she never let up until finally, in fact, she did collapse. Her cheeks as red as the lobsters the Indians cooked in the kettle. I had never tasted lobster. It is my favorite. But you must wrestle with it to get the meat out of the claws. Johnny and Francis Billington made themselves lobster mustaches from the thread-like orange tentacles. 'Twas very funny. Love, Mem. October 17th. Dear Imp, the Indians did a most lovely and haunting dance at our festivities. It was full of quietness, and we could only hear their soft humming and the click of their beads and their clamshell necklaces. It's called the deer dance, and they do it this time of year, for soon they shall hunt the earnest for deer. I am not feeling so well tonight. I am not sure I shall join in the jigging match. Love, Mem. November 6, 1621. Dear Imp, finally I awoke, and when I did I hardly knew what had become of me. But, dear Imp, you and I nearly parted company. Indeed, I nearly parted company with everything and everybody on earth. I have apparently lain on death's doorway for almost 3 weeks. My last recollection was wondering if I felt well enough to go to the jigging match. I would not have known that if I had not read that page that I had written to you that day. When my father came into our house, he found me sprawled on the floor. My eyes rolled back in my head, my breath but a dim pulse. Since that day, Hannah and he have nursed me. I have bled but once, and the doctor and Squanto came and they gave me teas made with powder of lily roots, just what I was about to diving for, but I have no recollection of taking that decoction at all. Then yesterday morning I heard this lovely voice singing a song about a faraway stream, and I think in my confused state that I may have perhaps died and gone to heaven, and that this was a voice of an angel. I am so weak I cannot even open my eyes, and I think, yes, truly I be in heavenly place, for now I have the feeling of softness and warmth all about me. So I open my eyes, curious to see what heaven looks like, and what do I see but Mistress Hannah Potts, and what do I feel but her feather mattress under me and her down coverlet over me? She hath given me her own bed, the one she shares with father, while I have been ill all these long days. And I move my mouth to speak, but it is I who makes a tisking sound now. So I try again, and I say, Hannah, and she stops her sweet singing and cries for my father. And so I now know what to call her. She'll be Hannah to me. Love, Mem. November 7th, 1621. Dear Imp, I feel much stronger today. There is talk that the next ship sent by the merchant shall be arriving soon. I try not to think about if Hummy might be on it, but it is hard. Love, Mem. November 8th, 1621. Dear Imp, today I walked. Tomorrow I hope to walk further. I wonder if indeed the ship will come in, and if I could walk to the hill where I saw the Mayflower leave with Hummy. For now as then, I would prefer to watch it all from a grand distance. I know she will not be on it. I know I shall cry either way, if she were on it or she were not. I like to do my crying away from people. You understand, Imp, don't you? Love, Mem. P.S. Do you think that there should be the slightest possibility that she is coming? November 10th, 1621. Dear Imp, the ship has been spotted on the horizon. I am going to the hill. I think I am strong enough, but I shall have to sneak out of the house to do it. They shall soon be going to a meeting in the fort to discuss matters concerning the new arrivals. I shall leave then. I shall take you with me. Later the same day. Dear Imp, I have made it. It took me forever and every breath of wind. My legs do feel like jelly, even though I brought father's eeling staff with me. A chill wind blows, but I am bundled well. I now sit in the exact spot I did 8 long months ago. I keep telling myself I know Hummy will not be on that ship, and yet you cannot kill hope. I think to myself perhaps there shall be another girl like me on the ship to become my friend, but I don't believe this either. You see, I think that true friends were lost, and they are hard to replace. There is much hope to even beyond friends, however. I can hope that perhaps a new baby will come into our lives, but maybe not too soon, for Hannah and I have plans for our garden next year. Hannah is still so set to get a big patch of peas to grow, all that will require great strength and much energy. And even if this ship does not carry Hummy, it carries much what we need, more tools and things for building, so our little community will grow, and perhaps if there is enough of these things, Father says we should be able to add on a small room to our house. But then I believe we might have to take away from the garden, so I am not sure which will be best. They also say that on the next ship that there might be a spinning wheel, and once more we can spin. But better than spinning wheels there might be chickens and pigs and cow's milk. Oh, how I do quiver at the thought of eggs and milk, for they truly will make bag pudding and cakes. Hannah knows how to make ginger cakes, and she doth have some ginger. Hannah is an excellent baker. Last night when we were talking, I said I imagine Plymouth growing so that one day there will be a bakery just like the ones back in Holland. And you and I shall be the bakers, Hannah. Well, everyone laughed, for it is hard to imagine our little settlement ever having shops and the like. 'Tis only a settlement here, after all. But I can imagine a place in the New World, perhaps not as grand as Lyon, but a village with winding streets lined with houses crammed one against each other, and signs hanging over the doors for bakeries and shoemakers and a barrel maker, and a pickled fish shops and ribbon shops. So right now as I watch the ship coming toward our harbor, it is a ship of dreams in a way, and I look at it as I can dream once again of ginger cakes and sweet buns, and hope for a new friend, and I shall, of course, never give up hoping for Hummy. If Hummy doesn't come, I tell myself it will not be the end of the world. No, I thought the world had ended for 2 days in April. I thought it would always be in winter in my mind. But a thaw has begun inside of me. I have after all learned to plant a seed in a hole and bring up corn. I have learned how to beat a stream in moonlight till it gives forth eels for our cooking pots. I have learned many words in the strange tongue of the Wampanoag. And now here's what I have left to do. I must learn to set a snare for a deer, for I do not like shooting any better than stitchery. I must learn to swim and dive for lily roots, with 2 sets of petticoats on. I must some day learn to sail, and then on that day I shall set a course for an island that rises out of the sea, all green and lovely, that is called Grace. For what I have learned, and what I hope to learn, for all of this I give thanks. Love, Mem.